What a game that was. I mean, that game was exactly the sort of game that everybody wanted. Technically, part of my low is the fact that, let me adjust myself a little bit. Part of my low really is the fact that I do feel kind of bad for the Bengals. But honestly, this was a game that someone just had to lose. And, that's what wound up happening. But Joe Burrow said that while they couldn't get it done, they still had reason to celebrate. So you know what? Good for you. Those Bengals are going to be back. I hope so. But I have to say, congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams for winning your second Super Bowl in franchise history. Congratulations to the likes of Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, who's Super Bowl MVP, Andrew Whitworth, Odell Beckham Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Chris Floyd. The list goes on and on. You guys are awesome. You got the victory at home, second time in a row where the home team won the Super Bowl. I mean, what can I say? That Super Bowl is pretty much everything everyone wanted to see. So congratulations. But I have to also mention my high, which was, and I don't care what anyone says, that was the greatest halftime show ever. Greatest halftime show ever. I defy anyone to say otherwise. I've seen and heard of a lot of great shows. Whitney Houston, Prince singing Purple Rain in the Rain in Miami, Paul McCartney, J-Lo and Shakira. What we saw last night was better than all of those. Okay? I'm telling you right now, greatest halftime show ever. I had to get that out of the way. I mean, I got to see Eminem, man. Eminem and Snoop and Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, everybody. It was great. Oh, it was the greatest thing ever. Honestly, I kind of wish Eminem had a little bit more time. Like, yeah, he got to sing 8 Mile, which is arguably his best song. But I wouldn't have minded seeing him do a song like Till I Collapse or Berserk. Something like that. Even Without Me would have been good. But, hey, that show was still amazing. I don't really have any complaints other than that. It was great. Greatest halftime show ever. Okay. And I would say my act of kindness was I got to spend the morning with my dad before he got to do a bunch of other stuff that he had to do. So, all in all, this was a good day. I have nothing else more to talk about from that other than good morning and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yes, it is Valentine's Day, and for the 32nd year in a row, I am single. Now, in previous years, whenever I do my Valentine's Day video, I have mentioned at great length that, no pun intended, I absolutely love this holiday. Because I really do try and look for, because yes, I'm single, but I look for other couples that I know that are legitimately happy. And that makes me happy. So we're good. And that is absolutely never going to change. However, considering what the circumstances are now, there is a few things I need to say. And by that, I mean, if you guys recall, up until August of last year, when I was diagnosed with depression and pragmatic communication disorder, it was believed, even though I certainly never believed it myself, that I was on the autism spectrum. Now, as you can imagine, from around mid 7th grade until I pretty much graduated high school, and even a little bit sometime after, thanks to a certain summer attorney Pauling, I was given a lot of insults. Whether they were technically regarding the whole autism thing or not, even though I'm thoroughly convinced that it was, they just did a really good job of hiding it. Hey, listen, they would have gotten in huge trouble if they did. Definitely, I've heard my share of things that really, in terms of insults, for every like one really good insult I heard, there might have been like 10 that were just like, really, that's the best you got? But that's not to say there weren't any like really harsh insults at all. And easily one of the harshest for me was that, well, really they were saying that I'm never going to get laid. But what they were really implying is no woman will ever love me. And I want to make one thing clear. Of course, I do believe there is someone out there for me. Absolutely. I don't buy a word of that at all. But when you hear it enough, it really does start to make you wonder, like, what that reason could be. And in truth, I can absolutely tell you why. Because unfortunately, we live in a day and age where, men and women strive for, perfection and to be with the very best and to have a family with the very best. And no woman in their right mind is going to want to have a family with, well, someone who's on the autism spectrum. I mean, in a relationship maybe, but not a family. Because, what if I pass it on to our kids? That's something to always think about. And yeah, there's genetic counseling that can mitigate that potential problem, of course. But there's just too many what ifs and variables about that. So, yeah, I guess Valentine's Day is sort of like the kind of day where I really ought to feel depressed about that. And maybe I am a little bit. But again, I still have a bunch of people that I know and friends who are in relationships and they're happy. And seeing them smile makes me happy, so that's cool. But as my mom would say, I actually do have a lot to offer. But I guess I don't have anyone to share it with. And honestly, throughout high school, and this is something I really grew to be disgusted with. One thing, here's the thing. I am, by all accounts, still disgusted with it, but I'm okay with some things about it. And that's PDAs, or public displays of affection. Like, all throughout high school, meanwhile, you have, people making fun of me. Meanwhile, some of those same people are in relationships with, relatively hot significant others. Well, actually, are boyfriend and girlfriend significant other? I know it's like that if you're married. I don't know if they're not married. Semantics. The point is, whenever I would see public displays of affection, I get really infuriated because, why can't I have any of that? Now, again, some PDAs are perfectly fine. The most classic example, a hug. Hugs are great. I love hugs. Hugs are perfectly fine. They're short, fast, sweet, to the point. It's literally like a second of, contact, you're done. Perfect. It doesn't overstay the welcome. That's fine. If you can't tell, the kinds of public displays of affection I can't stand are the ones that are like really intimate. They like take too long. Like, okay, we get it. You're madly in love in a couple. Now, can you drop whatever you're doing, please? Thank you. So, hugs, those are fine. Or, if it's a little bit more intimate, maybe a peck on the cheek. Like, when it comes to kissing, a peck on the cheek, that's fine. Again, short, sweet, to the point, gets the message across, you're done. Perfect. But, like, if it's, like, kissing on the lips, that really does depend on, like, how long that is. If it's, like, a quick, like that, like, that's fine. But if it's, like, really intimate and kind of gross and if tongues are involved, I don't want to see that. No one wants to see any of that. Come on, people. There's a reason why the phrase "get a room" is still relevant. But I think the one thing that made me feel the most depressed was simply holding hands. Now, when I see a couple hold hands like this, I'm actually okay with that. Because, yeah, it shows that you're together, but it's not like overstaying the welcome. It's like, okay, they're together, they're holding hands, that's cool. Now, when I saw a couple hold hands like this, or it was like, you know, like this kind of, or whatever, and they're holding, like, I can't, like this, like, I hate that. I really did hate that. I couldn't stand that at all. But that's how some couples show affection. But, you know, again, I don't necessarily need to see that. And then I think another thing that really did bother me was ever going to a wedding. I mean, I sort of said this a while ago, but I really haven't been to a good wedding since like 2012. And regardless of how good even that wedding was, it still sort of set the message of like, is that really ever going to be me up there with the love of my life? I don't really know. And then came the time where I truly felt my heart break the most. And I remember it so very clearly because, believe it or not, it just recently happened. See, you guys all know I started living in the city of Elmira in September 2019. After being here for a little while, I decided to go to other places, going out for dinner on Friday night or whatever. And I wound up going to a place called Bernie Murray's. And there, I actually saw this one particular waitress that I knew really, really well. Now, before I continue, I want to say something. Ever since my parents had put me in special ed, it is highly likely I'm never going to forgive them. Much less ever really listen to any ideas they have, whether or not they're good. And one idea my mom would always constantly get is setting me up with, a girl. Or online dating or something along those lines. And she had lots of ideas, and really only 2 girls were girls I legitimately liked. But I didn't want to pursue that because, I didn't want to acknowledge that my mom was right. I mean, she put me in special ed. Why would I trust her? Now, one girl actually is already married, but I really could take it or leave it. This other girl is that very waitress from Bernie Murray's. And when I first saw her, it was great talking to her. Like, I kind of felt sparks fly a little bit. And I went every Friday to see if maybe she was there. And we talked a little bit. It was great. And she actually consoled me when my grandfather had passed. I mean, you couldn't get anyone smarter, funnier, nicer than that at all. In fact, a little bit before then, I actually tried making her a homemade gift for Christmas. I made her homemade hot cocoa mix for Christmas. Yeah. It's actually really easy to make. It's like cocoa powder, sugar, salt, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. Because like cayenne pepper doesn't really bring spice, but it sort of brings like a warm thing. Remember, you're drinking hot chocolate around Christmas time when it's cold. Like the cayenne is supposed to help bring like a sense of warmth to it, At least that's how it works. And I was actually about ready to ask her out too. And then the pandemic hits. And at that point, we were all in quarantine. I couldn't go anywhere and see anyone. But worst of all, it was the ultimatum that my mother and my brother, well, really my mother, but it was also implied that my brother was thinking this too, is where, okay, you can risk going out, getting sick, potentially getting COVID, but if you do, you're never going to see your nephews grow up. And, I mean, I got to be there for my nephews. I mean, I got to see them grow up and become fine young gentlemen. Plus, let's say I do go out and, get COVID. The vaccine wasn't invented yet, so I could potentially die and then I won't be able to see anything, much less my nephews grow up. So, it was a bitter pill to swallow, but I couldn't see this girl anymore. Because that would require me going out, and I can't do that. Now you're probably thinking, well, Nick, why can't you just simply lie about it? Well, yeah, I could. But I wouldn't be setting a good example for my nephews if I did something like that. Plus, again, I could risk getting COVID. And the vaccine wasn't made yet, so you can only imagine what would happen. And I really thought that, because let's be honest, the whole COVID fluctuation has been like on and off, like crazy, whatever. Just when I think like we're out of the woods, and like, okay, as soon as this pandemic is over, I'm going to seek out this girl. I'm going to tell her how I feel. Consequences be damned. Like, I'm going to get it done. Pardon the language. And then I found out that she is currently in a relationship. Yeah. Apparently, she found someone, I guess. I may not know who this guy is, but needless to say, as soon as I saw they were together, my heart broke. And it sank. It sank deep. It might as well have been at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. That's how deep it sank. But I do try and see optimism, even in circumstances like this. So I tried to see if maybe she was happy. And from what I've heard, she is. So as long as she's happy, I'm cool with it. Heartbroken, but cool with it. So, needless to say, I really did love this girl, man. In fact, growing up, my family would go to, for summers up in Keuka Lake, we'd go to the church in Bradford called St. Stanislaus, and sometimes she was there, but I just didn't want to acknowledge her because I was too shy. And now whenever I go to church at all, I always find myself turning around thinking, maybe she'll be there. But who's to say? Thousands of times at this point I've looked and nothing. I mean, I guess I probably should have seen this coming, considering that I made her a homemade gift and she didn't really respond or anything. But, you know, I was still kind of hoping. Now, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. The fact that I didn't listen to my mom and just take that plunge, regardless of how I felt about what my mom was thinking, like, that's my fault completely. Like, in that regard, I deserve to have that happen to me. And, you know, I was living on my own. My mom wouldn't have to know about it at all until, again, because my mom did suggest I date this girl. But I just didn't want to acknowledge she was right. And yeah, I was a little bit shy too. But it's my fault I didn't act on it sooner. Now I can only hope and pray that whoever she's with, she's happy. And if she's happy, I'm okay with it. But it doesn't make the hurt any less painful. I don't want to end this video on a sad note, because that'd be cruel for you, especially on Valentine's Day. I love this holiday. I really do. And I stand by what I said earlier. Whenever I see my friends or family and they're happy with their significant other, you better believe that makes me happy. What can I say? I'm easy to please. So you know what? I'm going to end this video on the funniest thing I ever did on Valentine's Day. Because I think we could all use a good laugh after the story I just said. So, this happened in 5th grade at St. Mary Our Mother. Now, in my graduating class in 5th grade from St. Mary Our Mother, we had a boatload of birthdays in the month of February. Seriously, I think like within the first 8 to 10 days, you had like 5 birthdays. So you can only imagine. And there was this one girl who technically already had a birthday, but we decided to celebrate it on Valentine's Day in class. And this girl, aside from the party she was given, she also was given balloons. Like the balloons with, you know, helium and stuff. It says happy birthday. And because it's Valentine's Day, it was heart themed as well. You know, stuff like that. She took those balloons literally everywhere she went. To different classes that we had. To the cafeteria for lunch, which was really the auditorium. To recess, which was in gym class. Because it was too cold outside at the time. Like literally everywhere she went, she took those balloons with her. So I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm going to have some fun with this. Now, before anyone says anything, I want to make 2 things abundantly clear. One, I've never really cared for the popping of balloons. Personally, I always kind of broke my heart. We're like, oh, balloons are fun. They're playful. Yeah, this is awesome. And then the balloon pops and like, oh, I feel sad that the balloon popped. So I did not pop these balloons. Not at all. And let me get into the other thing. I'll get to the other thing in a second. But since I'm not going to pop these balloons, I decided that I was going to wait until we got back to our classroom, because our classroom was a really small classroom. Like, the ceiling was not very tall at all. Like, seriously, I could really almost stand on a chair at that time and, like, be very close to touching the ceiling. And that's the other thing I want to make abundantly clear. I'm not going to be cruel with this. Like, if I did what I was about to do in, like, again, the auditorium or the gym where the ceilings are, like, super high, that'd be cruel. I'm trying to be funny, not cruel. So what I wound up doing was, I took my pair of safety scissors, snuck up behind her, got like an inch above her hand that was holding the balloons, and I snipped the balloons away. Oh, everyone freaked out. Everyone really freaked out. And the sad part is, like, the instant it happened, I got on a chair, literally grabbed the balloons, and gave them back to her. It was like the funniest thing I ever did. But everyone, like, freaked out. Oh, my mom, pardon the language, she was pissed. She was super pissed. She was yelling at me for hours after that. Like, we had to go look for, like, I didn't pop the balloons at all. She still had the balloons. But my mom wanted me to get more balloons to apologize for. Like, what are you doing? I don't care what anyone says. That is the funniest thing I ever did on Valentine's Day. And I stand by that, gosh darn it. So, you know, honestly, I think what I did on that Valentine's Day is probably karma for right now. But I don't care, man. It was still funny. And that's all that matters to me. So, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yeah, this may be the 32nd year in a row, but I'm single. But hey, you know what? There's always next year. I'm still going to hold out hope. And maybe that girl that I talked about earlier, you know, maybe she will find me one day. Who knows? But that is part of the mystery, I guess, is part of the fun. So I hope everyone I'm very humbled I made this video. For all of you guys to watch and enjoy on this Valentine's Day, I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day, even though it's Monday. I still hope that if you're with your significant other, you have a wonderful Valentine's Day anyway, because you two love each other and you deserve all the best, provided that you're actually in a relationship and you're watching this. And remember, if anyone is out there and they are feeling sad on this Valentine's Day, if they're feeling depressed, you know, just talk to me. I certainly know a thing or two about feeling depressed, especially on Valentine's Day, even though I try not to be depressed because I'm always going to be happy for those who are in relationships, and that's awesome. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'll always be here to lend ear. I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And be sure, and fellas, ladies love flowers and chocolates. Or you know what? Cook for them. That's what I would do. But what can I know? What do I know? I'm not in a relationship at all. See ya.